Hello, I am Tracy Jackson, also known as the Spiritual Cheerleader, and I'm coming to you with part 2 of review for Work Your Light Oracle by Rebecca Campbell. The artwork has been done by Danielle Noel, and I wanted to do a quick reading from you from the deck. I actually have chosen to do the Soul Calling spread that is in the guidebook. Rebecca has a couple of them in the guidebook, and I usually have my own spreads that I use, but I thought it would be fun to try out one of hers. So what she asked for you to do is to split the deck in 3. Imagine that you have a question that you want your soul, want the answer to, want to know the answer to. Imagine that in your heart. For me personally, I'm going to ask, what does my soul most want me to know for my highest good right at this moment? I have split the cards into 3 piles, and then I will pick them up. You can pick them up in any order, and place them back. And then after you do that, you will then spread them out, and you can pick 2 cards. The first card will be the card that is representing that aspect that is falling away. And the second card will be the aspect that is rising within you. In doing this, there are several ways to pick the card. You can literally just look at the card and just feel in your heart like, oh, okay, I'm going to pick this one. You can run your hand over it to sense the energy over it, and then pick via that way, or, whatever works for you. Just know that whatever card you pick is the right card for you. And so I'm feeling very called to this area. So that's my falling away card, and feeling really called here for my what's rising in me. All right, awesome. Okay, so the first card, what is falling away? And it is boundaries. It says, where do you need to establish better boundaries? Now, one could try to interpret this card and say, oh, well, it's saying what's falling away, your boundaries are falling, and it says, how do you establish better boundaries? So I guess your boundaries are too high. You need to let your boundaries go. That's not how I'm interpreting this. I'm interpreting this as what's falling away is me not having boundaries. What's falling away is me not having boundaries, and therefore I do need to get better at having them. So this is my way of having them. What's falling away is me not having them. And so I know a lot of times people get kind of tripped up on that, like, oh my God, is it telling me not to have boundaries? Shouldn't have boundaries? No, this is telling you to have boundaries. It's telling you that what's falling away from you is not having those boundaries. All right. And then what's rising in me is the Sisterhood of the Rose. How beautiful is that card, right? And the message of this card is really more so about the teacher spirit, counselor that's rising within me, and I totally feel into that. So let's actually jump into the cards, because I've given you kind of my ideas on what I believe that they are telling me. So I will tell you exactly what Rebecca says as well. One thing I have to say about this deck that someone brought up, and I agree with them, is the only way to find out what card has been drawn is to go to the table of contents here. And it would be nice if they had the cards numbered, or some decks have them in alphabetical order so that you can find them that way. Some decks have numbers so that you can just find them via the number. And I think that's probably the best option for this one, is to have a number, just because the actual way they're organized it works. It's just it's not easy to find if you don't know where you're supposed to be going to look for them. Okay, so boundaries. You're being called to create clearer boundaries in your life. This could be with your friends, family, or work. Saying yes when you really mean no leads to resentment, which is the biggest energy drain ever. At first, it might only be a little bit and not feel like a big deal, but before you know it, your energy field becomes porous and you are left feeling depleted, resentful, or taken advantage of. Saying no and having clear boundaries is actually a spiritual act. The most giving, loving, compassionate people are those with the clearest boundaries. When they say yes, they are able to give unconditionally. When your boundaries are clear, others know where they stand and you are able to give freely. If you're not clear where your boundaries lie, this causes confusion, resentment, and energetic cords to be planted. If you are saying yes when you really mean no, you are likely needing something yourself. Ask yourself, what part of me needs something from them? It could be a need for approval, a fear of being seen a certain way, or a fear of loss. The best way to gauge your boundaries is to check in with your belly. Your belly is your second brain. It has the intelligence known as your gut feelings. Tune into that space when deciding what is okay for you. How does it feel? What is it trying to communicate with you? And the soul inquiry is, where in your life do you need to establish better boundaries? So for me, what's falling away is that I am no longer going to succumb to these feelings of, feeling like I'm going to lose a friend, or feeling like I'm not going to have somebody's approval because I didn't say yes to something. I've always been one of those people that says yes to everything, even things that don't necessarily feel good to me, because I feel some duty or obligation to do it. And I have already said, I don't want to be that person. I want to be very clear with what I say yes to and what I say no to, and what feels good to me and what doesn't feel good to me. And so I really do trust my instincts a lot more now. And the reason that I do that is for this reason. So this card is just reaffirming for me what I need to let fall away. And that is the idea of trying to people please. All right. So the Sisterhood of the Rose. It's a lineage of priestesses and mystics who devoted their lives to serving humanity and seeding light consciousness all over the earth. A cross-section of ancient lineages, it is the path of devotion and beauty. Walking this path means being devoted to seeing and creating beauty wherever you go. The rose symbolizes the heart and the sacred geometry of all life. You're being called to notice the beauty around you, particularly in nature, and hear the whispers of Mother Earth. You are being called to spend more time in nature, as all the ancient secrets live there. Mother Earth is constantly whispering. Spend time admiring her creations and you will be rewarded with insight and grace. You are being called to take a little more time to both notice the beauty that exists all around you and contribute to the beauty of the world in your own way too. This could be through your own creations or in the little things like how you dress, to picking flowers for your home. Every time you devote your time to creating beauty, you harmonize the planet a little more and the shift in vibration can be felt. Surround yourself with beauty and create beauty wherever you go. So I definitely feel this on a soul level. I have technically been getting into my more creative side and feeling that need to get back out into nature. And that getting out into nature and being more creative has led me into stepping more into my role as teacher or priestess or whatever you want to call it, healer. So I absolutely feel that this is rising in me, and I feel like there's been a huge call for me to create, which is a part of really creating that beauty in the world. And I create beauty in the world through my words. I write. I love speaking to you guys. I love sharing messages like this. And so that's going to be how I create and how I share beauty with the world. I hope that you guys were encouraged by this message. I also want to let you know that these cards were not just for me. If you felt something that you needed to hear, these cards were just for you as much as they were for me. That's one of the amazing things about card readings. You can get a Cleton, which is basically, you know, a message that it was intended for someone else, but it actually serves you as well. You get something and it resonates with you on a soul level. So you get that Cleton as well. And I hope that that encourages you today, and I hope that you take the messages that came in this deck as well as the spread and recognize that it is just as much for you as it was for me. Feel free to use that spread with your other card decks, and definitely check out this deck because it's amazing. I really love the energy behind it. It's very loving, very beautiful, very powerful, and I can't recommend it enough. So like I said, if you're looking for information on how to prepare your deck, how to start reading cards, feel free to click the link in the description below so you can get my Oracle Card Basics guide, and you'll be on my list, so you'll get all my latest spreads, my weekly pep talks, and you can also hear about what I'm up to and the new offerings that I have. So I will talk to you guys soon. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Bye.